Hello friends, this is Dr. Saurabh Patwadan from Nandadeep Eye Hospital and FECO Training Center, and in this video I'll be speaking about a case where iris prolapse complication that did not happen. So how I prevented it. I think this is a nice case to understand the thinking process of a surgeon. This is a case with extremely shallow AC. AC depth was just 2.3 millimeter. Already YAG laser has been done in the periphery to avoid angle closure glaucoma. Already the patient is on anti-glaucoma, and this is the main incision that I am making. I made a peripheral incision to avoid astigmatism, but I think the length of the incision was little bit on shorter side, and as you could see, because of the shallowness of the chamber, when I entered with the Hylicoat cannula, the iris was trying to come out. So I am using the OVD Hylicoat, which is combination of chondroitin and hyaluronate, similar to Viscoat, which is going to create some space in the anterior chamber, which is in fact very shallow. If you consider anterior chamber depth of 2.3 millimeter, out of that around 500 micron will be cornea. So it's just 1.8 millimeter in the anterior chamber, which is the working space. So Hylicoat will help me in creating that space. As I am doing capsulorhexis, you can watch the iris. It is trying to come out through the main incision here. Of course, I am engrossed with the capsulorhexis here, which I want to be perfect. And as I took out my cystitome, you could see that the iris was trying to come out. And now this is a crucial step because I want to do hydrodissection, but I cannot increase the anterior chamber pressure too much. Otherwise, the iris is going to prolapse out. There comes a air bubble, which I didn't want, but nonetheless I tried to do hydrodissection with single wave, because if I keep on injecting more, the iris is now going to come out. So this is iris prolapse which is waiting to happen. The most common mistake surgeons do is that they start pushing it more viscoelastic, which I am not going to do here. I just place little viscoelastic over the iris. I tried to release some viscoelastic from the side port, but because it's a Hylicoat, it's not going to get released. So now my plan is to go in with the phaco probe, not to start irrigation at the start. Once I enter the phaco probe completely, then I will start the irrigation. This is very important because if you try to enter with the irrigation on, invariably that irrigation enters the anterior chamber before the sleeve can completely close the main incision, and the iris will get stuck in the main incision, and with every phaco stroke it is going to get damaged. So here I entered the phaco probe into the anterior chamber first and then started irrigation when the phaco sleeve was completely snugly fitting the incision, and that prevented the iris prolapse. So I think this is a very important thought process to understand. Now the drape was coming in between, so I asked my assistant to take that drape little bit away because it creates reflection and it gets disturbing. I'm doing just trench and divide here because there is not enough space. I don't want to increase the bottle height at this point because this is a extremely shallow anterior chamber. If I use very high bottle height, the fluid may pass through the zonules into the Burgess space and cause fluid deviation. So I am using just 60 to 70 centimeters of IOP here and divided the nucleus into 4 parts. Now taking out the pieces, I am using 90 centimeter bottle height now, and I am using lower vacuum than normally what I use. So normally I use around 330, I am using 300 here, and I will bring the vacuum further down as I go towards the last piece because this is a very shallow anterior chamber. There is not enough space, and if the anterior chamber is shallow, remember the posterior capsule is also anteriorly placed. So you can do slow phaco, that is using lower parameters than normal. So if I am normally using 330, I am using 300 here, and further I am reducing. Now while taking out the phaco probe, again what I did was I stopped the irrigation, let the eye become little hypotonous, and then took out the probe. This prevented the iris following the phaco probe. If you keep the irrigation on and if you take out the phaco probe, because the anterior chamber pressure is on higher side, it will push the iris out of the wound, and again you will start traumatizing the iris. So again, this was second important step and the thought process while withdrawing the phaco probe from the anterior chamber. Now I have replenished OVD in the anterior chamber because the AC is shallow. The phaco will be happening quite close to the endothelium, though I am using very minimal phaco. Again, while entering, I started the irrigation after the phaco probe completely entered the anterior chamber, thus again preventing the iris prolapse. And now I am reducing my vacuum gradually. So in this whole sequence of events, always you have to keep on thinking, because it was a shallow anterior chamber, the length of the incision was not as I wanted it little longer, but it happened that it is shorter. So iris is trying to come out of the incision and I want to prevent that. Iris prolapse will not only lead to pain and discomfort to the patient, but it will also shave the iris pigments, and later you will see a atrophic patch over that iris, which is not a good sign. So now I am reducing it further to 250, even 200. I want very stable anterior chamber. I can see that the posterior capsule is also quite anterior here. And again, while coming out, I stopped the irrigation first, made the anterior chamber hypotonous, and then took out to avoid the iris following the phaco probe. Now for coaxial, I again same thing, enter the probe and now start the irrigation. Now in extremely shallow anterior chamber, sometimes the zonules are also weak, so you have to be very careful while removing the cortex and make sure that you are not pulling the anterior capsule by mistake. So take your time. Once you engage the cortex, make sure that you are not engaging any part of the capsule and try to remove the cortex very gradually with controlled manner. Keep the tip always anteriorly placed, except in the subincisional. In subincisional, you have to be extra careful. In case you are having trouble with coaxial, you can use bimanual aspiration, but make sure that all the cortex is out before you place the IOL. Now in this case I am going to use a extended depth IOL because the patient wants some near or intermediate vision as well. So again, as I was doing the IA, you could see that the iris again is trying to get into the incision. So when I am going to take this probe out, I'm again going to follow the same sequence, stopping the irrigation, making the eye hypotonous. You can see here corneal striae because of the hypotony, and then taking out the probe. Now I am going to use sodium hyaluronate to fill the bag and the anterior chamber here, because I am going to use plate haptic IOL, and with plate haptic IOLs it is very difficult to remove the OVD from behind the IOL. So I am going to use hyaluronate, which comes out very quickly in bulk. So this is the plate haptic extended depth IOL, which goes into the bag. Again, very shallow anterior chamber. I don't want this IOL to rub the endothelium. Sometimes in these IOLs the haptics may rub it, so I pushed it down carefully into the bag. I want to orient this IOL vertically, so I'll just rotate it. When the initial incision was shorter, any further wrong step would have made the iris prolapse worse. And as I initially also told, the most common mistake that is done is to keep on pushing the iris back into the anterior chamber with OVD. When you push it back with OVD, it is going to further increase the anterior chamber and the iris will prolapse out again. So you have to always keep on thinking on this before you decide which maneuver you are going to use. Now for plate haptics, I think it is important to go behind the IOL, which is little bit tough. So use of the hyaluronate is actually quite helpful because you can just immediately take out the OVD from the bag because it comes out in bulk, unlike HPMC or chondroitin, which are dispersive agent and they take little longer time to get aspirated. But for all IOLs, it is important that your anterior chamber is completely free of OVD at the end of the surgery because it gives very good post-operative quiet eye, very less inflammation. Again, stopping the irrigation, as you can see here, the hypotony was not achieved because now you can see in the side port there are some epinuclear pieces which are there, which was stopping the irrigation from going out. That's why the anterior chamber pressure was still higher when I withdrew the eye probe, and that's the reason why the iris followed. So this is again very important. Always make the eye very hypotonous before you withdraw the probe. Once you do that, you don't get the iris prolapse. Now I'm achieving some hydration of the incision. This is a shorter incision, so as you can see it is leaking little bit. In order to correct that, I am going to use Wong's incision, which is a lamellar incision just anterior to the initial incision. So I also call it sandwich hydration. So once I hydrate this lamellar pocket, it is going to seal the incision for the time being, and I don't need to put a suture. So I just check the leak again with trypan blue. There is no leak, so that's the end of the procedure there. So for more such tips and tricks, do watch my YouTube channel, subscribe to it. Also watch our website phacotraining.org.in. Thank you so much.